Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic, here with another tune-up. But before we get started and take a look at today's deck, I want to remind everyone to subscribe. The more subscribers we have, the more fun stuff we can do with the channel and the more guests we can have on. Additionally, if you've got a deck list that you want to submit for a tune-up, you can email me at cmdrmechanic@gmail.com, or you can find me on Twitter at cmdrmechanic. You can also comment on this or any other video. I'll read them all. Let's take a look at what's in the workshop today. Today's deck comes from viewer Joshua Wood, who writes, I wanted to submit my Edgar Markov deck for a tune-up. I often struggle trying to make this deck be on par with the control and combo decks in my playgroup. They're mostly tier 3 or tier 4 per your power level scale. The route I'm focusing on is about making my vampires as evasive as possible in combat. So any suggestions on what you think could improve the deck or what I might be doing wrong is greatly appreciated. First of all, Joshua, I don't think that you're doing anything wrong. There's nothing that you can do wrong in EDH. There are just things that can be done better. Edgar Markov is a very strong commander. While he's big, hasty, and pumps your vampires on attack, that's not his main draw. His Eminence ability that gets you a vampire token on casting a vampire spell is what makes him scary. You get essentially twice as many bodies as are in your deck, which enables quite a few interesting strategies. You've mentioned your deck is currently tuned around combat and making creatures evasive. Cards like Cover of Darkness, Shared Animosity, and Cathar's Crusade are your heavy hitters here. They turn even a 1/1 token into a bulky, evasive threat. So let's lean into this strategy. That means we need to be more efficient with our card slots. Some of your smaller vampires just aren't worth a spot, and you're running far too many 1-drops. Bold Impaler, Vampire Cutthroat, and Vampire of the Dire Moon are great if you can start beefing them up, but let's not count on that. Remember, make sure your cards are good when you play them, not if you play them with other cards. We'll also want to cut some of the one-time effects you have in favor of more repeatable actions. That's where you get the most value out of card slots in your deck. Almost all of your card draw is one time. Night's Whisper, Sign in Blood, Painful Truths. Let's try not to take a turn off to draw cards and lose life. First, let's add in a few more options to make your vampires bigger. We know you'll be getting a lot of vampire tokens, so let's ensure they remain threatening. Let's add in creatures like Drana, Liberator of Malakir, Olivia, Mobilized for War, and Bloodlord of Vazgoth. All have the ability to permanently make your creatures, no matter their size, bigger. Turning your free creature tokens into threats is what's going to make this deck scary. Bloodcrazed Paladin is another way to make your creatures bigger, especially if your opponents took the time to pick at each other's boards. And never count out Blade of the Blood Chief. In a vampire tribal deck, it's just straight value and should be an auto-include. For card draw, let's put in some creatures that draw you cards. Asylum Visitor is a good option, especially if you or your opponents end up hellbent with empty hands. Anya's Ravager is a personal favorite of mine too, giving you a mini wheel whenever it attacks. It should allow you to have at least 3 fresh cards each turn to play with. And then there's some enchantments like Greed, Vampiric Rites, and Arguel's Bloodfast. Never underestimate paying resources for cards, especially if the effect is repeatable. Life and creatures come easily to you in this deck. I'd recommend putting a few aristocrat-style lines in the deck too. You're already running Viscera Seer, Blood Artist, and Cruel Celebrant. It's not a stretch to include Vindictive Vampire, Bastion of Remembrance, and another sack outlet like Ashnod's Altar. So my tuned-up deck cuts some of the less effective 1-drops and shifts the curve more towards 3 mana. I've upped the land count a little bit and given you a few more ways to make your vampire tokens really threatening. With this build, you should be able to ensure even your 1/1 tokens are 3/3s, and your bigger vampires become 5/5s or more. When you're spending 2 or 3 mana on a creature and getting 8 power on your board, your opponents are going to be struggling to keep up, whether it's against the control deck or not. In terms of upgrades, there are a few I'd recommend. Metallic Mimic, Coat of Arms, and Door of Destinies are all great ways to make your vampires huge. If your games typically don't last beyond turn 5, 6, or 7, I'd look into Metallic Mimic as a priority. Anointed Procession is another huge boon in the deck as well, since you're making free tokens. Necropotence is some of the best card draw ever and can ensure your hand is always full. Also, Dictate of Erebos and Grave Pact are amazing ways to ensure your little vampires can be used as cannon fodder to clear a path for your bigger creatures. If you want to fight fire with fire in terms of control and combo decks, look into the Exquisite Blood Sanguine Bond combo. We're also getting Veto, a new legendary vampire, in M21. These enchantments and these effects create an infinite loop the moment you gain life or an opponent loses life. It's a great way to just have an off switch to the game, a great way to just say, I win. If that's what you're struggling with, if you don't want to swing through with creatures for the win, I'd recommend having some kind of combo in the 99. So Joshua, let us know how you've taken this advice and tuned up your deck. We'd love to see what your deck list looks like once you've taken a look at some of these recommendations. If you've got any additions that we've overlooked in our tune-up, please feel free to comment. I'm sure Joshua would like any advice possible. We love to make deck building a collaborative effort around here, and no suggestions or recommendations are ever ignored. If you like this content or any of the other content on the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Again, the more subscribers we have, the more we can do on the channel. Until next time, good luck and have fun. All advice in this video is advice only. Commander is about having fun your way. Don't let anybody tell you how to play EDH.